Knowledge, teamwork and game smarts. These are the ingredients turning your everyday players into tomorrow's professional gamers. But to truly appreciate the future competitors of esports, we need to pay homage to the moments from the past. Arena Esports takes you on a trip back in time to enjoy the greatest plays from the world of esports. Taking to the Blizzcon main stage to put on a show, the two best Overwatch teams on the planet entered the Anaheim Convention Center ready to prove their worth. China and South Korea earned their positions in the 2018 Overwatch World Cup Grand Final live from Anaheim, California, leaving behind the best of the best from 6 other gaming regions. Making their stand as legends of the game, both China and South Korea earned their ticket to the final clash without dropping a single game in the playoff bracket. The total dominance from both teams left the crowd and viewers online to speculate about who was more worthy of the November title. A trip to Ilios was in store for Game 1 as China opted for a 3 support-based composition. As the control point unlocked, South Korea moved in to near-wipe China off the point. The percentage started to climb for the team in white. Carpe's Cassidy, formerly known as McCree, was claiming eliminations with unbelievable aim. China frequently fell to the might of South Korea every time they engaged in a team fight on point. In the end, South Korea snapped up the lighthouse, while the team in red failed to make any real impact. Entering the Ilios well, boops from Lucio and Brigitte became more important as South Korea chased their match point victory. With careful footing, South Korea took first control of the point. Each team was trying to weaken the other's defences before making riskier plays. Jonak's Zenyatta was the first to draw blood. The Chinese lineup fell like dominoes as South Korea once again started to build an early percentage. After several failed attempts, China began their last assault, while their opposition stood at 99%. Animo's Lucio ultimate bolstered South Korea's defences, all while getting a game-winning boop on China's tank to send him down the well towards his death.
He teeters on the edge for a paralysing moment, and then Animo gets the job done. Shine's going to be overrun on the Brigitte, and that's about it. What a insane mechanic.
Once nerves had settled, the teams loaded into Game 2's hybrid map of King's Row, where China had to make some serious changes in order to overthrow their Overwatch World Cup counterparts. Kicking things off on defense, China's leave was causing some massive problems for South Korea on Doomfist. It wasn't until the team's third attempt where they finally activated the payload, just under 4 minutes left on the clock. With meters to go on the payload, China did their best to time out the match. Fury's Diva Bomb found one, while Fleta prevailed in a duel of Brigittas. Fleta's switch to Junkrat helped delay China off point A. The count was claimed in the final minute after Crystal's Genji took down the South Korean healers. Desperate to push the payload to its first point, China was starting to fold underneath the South Korean threat. Fury ended China's mercy with a Diva Bomb before pumping rockets into their Pharah.
Crystal, the Pharah got the safety, but the Mercy was left out to dry it. And now Fleta, wax on, wax off, all the way to the bank. South Korea take map 2.
The Blizzcon crowd knew that South Korea were the undisputed best Overwatch World Cup team in the competition. The Chinese squad knew they were in dire straits. They would need to form an impenetrable defense on Map 3's Temple of Anubis in order to turn this BlizzCon finals around. With Winston, Brigitte and Lucio in their lineup, South Korea performed a push strategy to take the first point. With China's DPS falling early, the team had to regroup to prevent the second and last objective point of the game. Without a moment of hesitation, South Korea beelined to the final objective. Fleta, Carpe and Jonak were all finding eliminations. The Chinese squad started to stagger when getting back into combat. Their opponents were far too strong. Each member of Team China could scarcely believe it. Now on offense, both South Korea and the game timer were heavily working against them. Ultimates were forced when China gained ground. Crystal's Genji cut through Jonak, Animo and Sky like a knife through butter, solidifying the first capture point. The team in red tried so many times to breach through South Korea's position, but every attempt was foiled as ultimates were systematically used. Even with a sound barrier and a self-destruct, China couldn't hold. For the third time that day, South Korea proved to the world why they were the best there was.
I believe this has to be the answer. This has to get them out of this tricky situation. Gushue desperately tries to fire strike into the graviton, but now the sound barrier. They're too tanky. There's too much health on South Korea. They can't be dragged down by this. Lei Young with a self-destruct on the point. No one dares to see it though, just for show at this stage. Fury's mech was removed, but that's about it. Lei Young suffers a similar fate. It's South Korea, another notch in the belt.
The South Korean juggernauts were just one game away from taking it all. Watchpoint Gibraltar would require the greatest defence possible in order to delay South Korea's victory. While a nano-boosted Dragon Blade was hunting down Chinese targets, Carpe was popping off with Widowmaker from a safe distance. Their collective wins helped the payload find its first objective. A Diva Bomb forced China to run and hide at the payload's second point. With their players scattered, Carpe and Fleta snapped up eliminations to further advance the team in white. Pushing well into overtime, it was Carpe's snipe on Crystal and Jonak's connect onto Leave that sealed the deal for South Korea. The payload had travelled the distance. China would now need to send the payload all the way home in order to contest their opponent's lead. Once China won the Diva duel and Crystal's Hanzo took down Fate, the team in red gained control. The payload made its way to the first checkpoint. The dual sniper lineup that China played all match long was paying off. With Gushue's added pressure from a Winston ultimate, the second point was fought and won. China's competitive spirit finally came alive in the dying seconds of their attacking round. Shy's shots were finding their targets as Lei Young's Diva remained on point.
The Doom Fist coming out, but it's so aggressive it puts him right from the frying pan into the fire. And Shy have made a meal of it.
They got to get aggressive here, though, Mitch. The spawns are just going to keep coming up for South Korea. You see Shy here up on the high ground, even lots of players in the spawn.
At 3 points aside, the score would be settled in the following 2 rounds. South Korea had exactly 1 minute to push the payload as far as they could, while China kept their double sniper lineup to take down their adversaries hard and fast. Jonak's Transcendence helped maintain control of the payload as it passed under the bridge. Although Fleta was finding kills, Fate was pushed off the objective, resulting in a devastating loss of control for South Korea. Now on attack, China had more than double the amount of time to push the payload the same distance. A win in the Overwatch World Cup Grand Finals was within arm's reach. With Orisa and Bastion cruising on the payload with the pirate ship strategy, it wasn't long before the team was just meters away from victory. Within inches of the payload's final position, China were forced off point by the highly aggressive South Korean lineup. With enough time to engage in one last team fight to take it all, China leapt onto the cart. A nano boost onto Fate, followed up with a perfectly positioned Diva Bomb, sealed China's fate. Even with the swap to Wrecking Ball, China couldn't make it back in time.
South Korea, they're getting aggressive. Gushue could take it down. China is also missing Leave down to the southwest track, as is Crystal. There's nobody left for China. It's South Korea. Wave after wave of China has broken upon them, and it's barely left a dent. Now, 2 seconds left. Gushue needs to get there, but he's moved on to high ground.
In a glorious 4-0 win, South Korea trampled upon China to become the 2018 Overwatch World Cup champions. The Blizzcon trophy and the Overwatch World Cup title was snapped up by South Korea, making them back-to-back champions in front of an animated Anaheim crowd.
Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to keep up to date with the amazing eSport content from around the gaming globe. Only on Unbeaten Esports.